All right, everybody, welcome back to the Wives Club. The Wives Club was started in 2021 when I booked a session with the late, great Kevin Samuels. We like to keep his legacy alive by reviewing his content and then giving our take as older women teaching the young, which is what he implored that we do. I am Maggie the substitute teacher. You may know me for my cooking channel, and my lovely co-host, Lucchese here, is a moderator on Kevin's channel. Lucy, please introduce yourself and let us know what episode we're reviewing tonight.
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. So, the episode we're reviewing, oh my goodness, I don't know. Which one is it, Maggie? I've sent you so many.
Climb this wall to get to me.
I don't remember. I know that because I sent it to you a while back. So, let's see.
It's the woman who was saying, and I'll set it up, but it was the woman who
Okay.
was saying, men and women need to compete for each other. And then it just went downhill from there.
Yes. Yes. So, and the reason I shared it back, I think it was last Friday, was because we were discussing about competition on our Wednesday live stream. So again, it's kind of following up on the same thread to make it come together. And yes, I was Kevin Samuels moderator for his live streams Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on YouTube, and Tuesdays and Thursdays on Instagram. So I learned so much from him, and here we are, still following up on his legacy, and hopefully continue to learn from his wisdom that he shared. Although many got upset over it, the the truth is it's hitting some right now, and we just continue to maybe course correct at this point.
Absolutely. We are going to do our part, but I agree. I hate to say I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, but the internet is forever, and that's why we are here. Lucy and I both have long-term relationship and marriage experience. We like to share what we've done right, what we've done wrong, in hopes that it will help. So this is our drop in the bucket. All right, so I have my clips here, and we are going to review this episode. As always, I've linked it in the description. This was a clip from a longer live stream. So this one was only about 18 to 20 minutes. So if you have time, I would encourage you all to watch it, but we will share our perspective. So a woman calls in to Kevin's stream, and she starts off by saying, both men and women need to prove themselves to each other. And he stopped her right there and said, no, they don't. Now, I understand the sentiment behind what she said, but ultimately, what Kevin told her is that no, men have already proven themselves to the world. We as women need to prove ourselves to men because men are the ones that propose. All right. So before anyone gets offended, or you can get offended, it's fine. I know traditional relationships aren't for everyone, but that's what we promote here. Pardon me. So, ladies, because men propose, because they're the ones that sacrifice, because we want their name, their ring, their legacy, their covering, their banner, their children, their network, all of that, we don't want that from any man on the street. We all are very selective, if we're being honest, about the caliber of men that we see as husbands. And one of the clips that I have that's going viral right now is talking about the work that men do before we as women even show up. So we're not starting, even though we are meeting them here, a man has already proven himself to the world, to the community, to his network, to even be able to become the kind of man that now we want to compete for. So I wanted to start with that. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, he was trying to explain to her that men work themselves up from the minute they are born. And then her response was, well, women work themselves up to sex. And it's like always going to the intimacy part instead of being a little more looking at perspective without that component in the relationship. So it's really interesting how immediately she took it up to the intimacy part and not discussing any other way that women supposedly are competing at the same level.
Absolutely. So if you all have listened to Kevin Samuels, you'll know that he says that women control access to intimacy, men control access to relationships. And he reminded her in this episode, and she agreed with him, before a man can have access to our body, doesn't he have to prove himself that he is a worthy person for a worthy man for us to share that with? And she said, yes. Likewise, ladies, if we want marriage, we have to prove ourselves to the man that we want to propose to us that we are going to be a worthy woman and wife to him. We have a super chat coming in already from Nazir. Thank you so much for the $9.99. I'll put you in the banner. Nasir says, thank you. Thanks for what y'all do. Will you be covering more current event relationship things? So Luke Hazley and I are here twice a week. Usually on Wednesdays is our wild card Wednesday. That's when we usually do our TikTok reactions, maybe some current events, and more pop culture reactions as it relates to traditional relationships. On Friday stream is the Wives Club. What would you add, Lucy?
I think in the Wives Club, I think we tried to focus on things that Kevin Samuels was teaching the women and the men with his channel. On our Wednesday sessions, probably we can do the cultural things because we did have the resettees, and then we have other components that happen either on social media or some news that come up. But I think that on the Wives Club, we are going to keep it specifically for Kevin Samuels content.
Absolutely. All right. So let's continue on. One of the notes that I have from this episode, if you all listen to it, the woman asked the question, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel? Well, I feel. Why do you feel? In talking to Kevin Samuels. And the point is, he corrected her multiple times. And ladies, here's the takeaway. We are women. We are emotional creatures. We lead with our heart, with our emotions on our sleeve. We want to talk about how we feel, how we used to feel, how we're feeling now, how it's going to make us feel. We're all about the feelings. Ladies, men are not. They are very logical. They're very stoic, the masculine men that we want. And so Kevin corrected her and he said, I like to talk about what I think, not what I feel. Because let's face it, if we let our emotions rule us, we'll be all over the place. And that's why, by nature, ladies, we are chaotic. Shout me down if you want to, but it's true. If unchecked, we will be all over the place. What struck me in this dialogue between this woman and Kevin Samuels is that he had to say it multiple times to her. Now, ladies, here's the takeaway. Masculine men do not like to repeat themselves. And it's an expectation if you're going to be in a relationship with a man, a masculine man, high value man, blue collar man, whatever, a man, you want to listen and you want to apply the feedback. That's one of the things that I do in my relationship. If my man tells me that he likes something, I do more of that. If he tells me that he doesn't like something, I eliminate it. The point is, I don't want him to have to stop what he's doing to repeat himself to me. And if you listen to this episode, when he repeated himself to her, she was like, okay, yeah, not feel, but think. So she kind of blew him off. And ladies, what that tells a man is that, oh, okay, what I say doesn't matter. All right. And what happens is they stop talking because they're not going to go 12 rounds with you. So listen very intently. I'm going to start giving you all feedback. If you have a man that you respect and he's giving you feedback and he's told you something, make sure you're listening or you may find yourself alone. What would you add, Lucy?
Thank you, Nazir. Nazir, and the PUTO part, that's really interesting because that's kind of like a bad word in Spanish. It is funny. So I don't know. I don't know if it means different from where they come from. So it's fascinating. Language is amazing. How one word is okay in one country and then it means something completely different in another country. So going back to a man not wanting to repeat himself, and they will tell you, I will ask you to do something or I will tell you to do something. My husband, for example, He said when we first met, he said, I don't like to repeat myself. And I think I didn't test it on purpose, but it happened twice. On the second time, he made sure that I got the, you know, the hint, or I got the point, because they don't hint. They tell you this is how I want things to run, and you either go with get with the program, or you don't. And that's going to be a really a hard battle to be with a man that wants it one way and you want to, for whatever reason, veer off course when they have a focus, they want to get there, and they tell you how they're going to get there, and you are combating every time, saying no, that we could get a different way, when you are allowing him to lead. And that's where issues come up, when you think that you're both leading your relationship, and you do not let the man lead.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so the next point that I have here as a takeaway from this episode, I always like to give you ladies teachable moments, actionable things that you can take away, and hopefully analogies that you can relate to. And most of us as modern women, we're a bit proud of our big jobs and all the things that we say that we are. As a reformed modern woman, this one is near and dear to my heart. So when he was talking to this woman who said that both men and women need to prove themselves to each other. And again, she wasn't combative. She was, a little bit slow on the giddy up, but she wasn't rude or disrespectful. He used the analogy of a job interview. And ladies, you have to approach relationships that you are interviewing for a position that ultimately you want. The man is the one who is doing the proposing. Like I always say, we can accept with grace or we can exit with grace. So he asked her, when you're interviewing for a job, is it your job as the candidate to prove yourself to the interviewer, or is it the company's job to prove themselves to you? And she said both. And he shut her down immediately. What he said that I loved is, you are talking as a top candidate. So I'm going to give you all some real world experience from me, some relatable experience, hopefully. So I work in tech, and like most of us, as you have developed in your career and you have different certifications and years of experience, international experience, whatever it is, you become more sought after. I remember when I was right out of school and I was new in my field, I was the one doing the legwork, trying to go to job fairs, getting my resume out there, talking to people, trying to get recommendations, signing up for extra projects, anything I could do to really make myself marketable. I was the one doing the hunting, if you will, for a job. After about 10, 15 years, once you become more senior in your field, whatever it is, it could be nursing, it could be legal, whatever it is, I noticed a phenomenon that without me applying for jobs, recruiters started to find me. Recruiters started to find me on LinkedIn and say, oh, we're looking for someone with this type of software experience. We're looking for someone with this type of industry experience. Are you open to making a move in your career? And I found it fascinating that what I wanted so bad when I was early in my career, I wanted it to kind of be laid out for me. It wasn't just going to be given to me. I had to earn it. I had to put in the time. I had to show myself valuable to the companies that I wanted to work for. And then in time, I was able to get the job offers that I wanted because I had proven myself. So, long-winded version, ladies, as an entry level job candidate, or if you're just starting out, it's not a bad thing, but I want to make sure you understand the baseline is that you are going to have to prove yourself. It's only that, the top candidates, the select at the top women that are being, chased down and, like, please, whatever I can do. That's not most of us. Most of us are, I like to say, happily average. So I just wanted to give that distinction as it relates to the job interview. So hopefully you all can take that perspective in your relationships. What would you add, Lucy?
Yeah, and one of the mindsets that would be a good idea to use is that whenever you are out there, you are actually interviewing. in public. Because again, we've said before, men are watching, and if you are yes, and if you are out there acting in a way that's not going to be um, appropriate for that man, especially when you want a high level, high value man, you're probably not going to be a good interviewee for the next step. So again, always be on the lookout on your behavior out there, because you're either going to meet your prince out there, or you will never find him, because your behavior is not allowing you to, for the man that is looking for that person, to see you at your best behavior.
Yes, absolutely. So let's continue on with the job interview references. Ladies, just like we have a work history and a resume, we have a relationship resume. You have relationship history, unless you're, maybe 2021 and you're just now leaving home. But one of the things that was revealed in this conversation is that she had been married before. She's a divorcee. I'm a divorcee. So he started to unpeel the onion the way Kevin does, and he asked her. And a couple things stood out to me. He asked her about her relationship history. She said she was married for 6 years and had been divorced now 5 years. And I believe she was in her early 30s, early to mid 30s, which means she was off the market at 21 and married young, which is a good thing, ladies. Do not believe the modern women that tell you you need to go have all of these experiences. It's not going to help you in the relationship that you want. Lucy and I were both married in our early to mid 20s. I was married at 25. And when I tell you, I feel like I just beat the buzzer because I did not want to be closer to 30 than I was to 20. But anyway, she had been married before. He asked her who ended the marriage. She said she filed. He asked her why, and her answer was disingenuous. Her first answer was, "Oh, we were from two different cultures. I'm American. He was from Ghana. I'm from Ghana. So he was African. She was American." And so, the way Kevin starts to surgically, find out what's going on. He said, "You were married for 6 years. The culture thing doesn't fly." And then he continued to ask her, and she admitted that she refused her husband children until she had finished school, I think it was. And he's like, okay, you're one of those women, one of those selfish women. Now, if you listen to the episode, she says later that she regrets it. And it was kind of hard to hear, but she said that she did not have to work while she was in school. She didn't have to work up until her graduation. So Kevin asked her, "Okay, so since you've been divorced, how many proposals have you fielded from men that you admire?" And she said zero. And she's got a lot of regret now. She says she's learned from it. What is the point? So the takeaway, ladies, especially if you have the type of man that is going to save you from yourself, basically retire you early, provide for you, allow you to go to school, um, I would advise as quickly as possible to get on his program and talk about what his requests are. We have two children. We did wait a few years. We talked about it, and when my ex-husband said he was ready, we went at it, and the boys, thankfully came. And I remember we had two boys, and I asked him if he wanted to try for a girl. And he said, my ex-husband was like, "No, I think two is fine." He comes from a family of two children. I come from a family of two children. So we were done. But my point is that if he had wanted three, I would have three. So I think that the way she refused the request that her husband had for her and made a life for her to make her comfortable showed up as not only a regret for her, but it's going to give any man in the future some pause. He was like, "What? All he wanted was some children, and you told him no, and then divorced him, and then said it was because our cultures were different." That's a lack of accountability, ladies. And she has spent 5 years and still can't be honest about what happened. So a lot to unpack there. But ladies, when a relationship ends, you need to know what you did, what you can do better and get back in the game, because you all taking 5 and 10 years to rumor to talk about and think about your relationship in the past is just really hurting your future prospects. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and a man is not going to have the patience that Kevin had trying to figure out your past. A man is going to ask you a couple of questions, and he's going to see your behavior and your actions, and he's going to say whether he's going to decide very quickly whether it is worth spending a little more time with you, or you know what, just cut your losses, and first, second date, we're done. So again, and it seems to me that with from what I see in social media and the modern world, it's getting really hard. The dating scene is getting very hard, especially for modern women that have been around all this time doing whatever they want, and now all of a sudden they become traditional, and they want the traditional husband without them having to explain all that baggage that they bring. So again, men nowadays are going to be very specific when they ask questions for a reason. They're going to make they're going to be making that assessment pretty quickly. So again, the fact that Kevin had to ask so many questions to get to the truth about why the marriage had ended was exhausting, and a man is not going to have that kind of patience.
Absolutely. We see you all in the chat. Aaron Laura is agreeing. Thank you all so much. We have Jurgen in the chat talking about, for a man, it's a word; for a woman, it's a dictionary. And that's funny, but there's so much truth in that, ladies. And I think it is a blessing to hear from the men in these spaces. If you want a relationship, if you want to be a boss babe and ride it out until you're 65, I am not going to fight you. But if you are curious about what men think, like I always say, we are not equal. We are equally valued, but we're very different. And the way men communicate, like my man tells you, Maggie tells me, Maggie, I'm gonna tell you one time in a row. And so you really need to be ready, ladies. And all these experiences that you're having are putting you behind the 8 ball. And then you meet the one that you're like, okay, now this is a husband. And you are not prepared. And your learning curve is so steep. And I'm telling you, it's going to be painfully tragic, because when a man is ready and he's already done that work, the one thing he is not going to do is wait on you, especially if you're older. They'll give grace to the younger ones, but if you're older and your experiences aren't beneficial to him, he's going to move on. Speaking of moving on, let us continue. So the next thing, so she talked about being 33, and you all know Kevin's line of questioning about, she wanted to remarry, asking her, what kind of life do you want? Do you want to work after you have children? And, all these things to try and lead us down the path to realize, ladies, we all want the same thing. We all want the provider man, the masculine man, the man who can give us and our children the type of life that we want. So she starts by saying, oh, I don't need a 6-figure man. And that's fine. And so he starts asking her these questions, and he asked her, what percentage of the household bills do you want to be responsible for a lifetime? And she said, I think 20 to 30%. And he said, okay, so you want to basically be the tip on the bill. So when you think about everything that goes into maintaining a home, the mortgage, the insurance, the cars, and all of that, you're still expecting the man, which men who want a family are willing to do that. They come to the table knowing that it's going to cost them their livelihood, but they're willing to do that. So ladies, even those of us who work, or those of us who say, oh yeah, I don't need a provider man, I'm willing to work. We're not willing to work at the same level that a man is. That's why I say, forget that partner business. You're really not trying to go 50-50. You want to be able to say, oh yes, I work and I contribute, but we don't want the burden to be on us. So that is why when Kevin is saying, no, you have to prove your worth, ma'am, because you're basically asking a man, when it's time to pay the mortgage, you pay 80, I pay 20. When it's time to pay the insurance, you pay 80, I pay 20. You all see how it goes. So if you think about it logically the way men do, that's why we have to show that we are worthy of them making that sacrifice for us. What would you add, Lucy?
And men, they don't come into a relationship telling you, I'm gonna pay 80, you're gonna pay 20. That conversation never happens. It just, once you become, you know, part of, that relationship, it just it just happens. The man starts providing the bulk of the expenses, and the woman winds up just putting a little bit, and they're okay with that. But they expect the woman to also put in a little bit of their femininity, their elegance, their beauty, their essence, their the making sure that the home is clean, all of those things that they cannot do on themselves, because what they look for in a woman is what they don't have. They want that femininity, they want that, just, our womanlyhood, things that we can provide. But again, men don't go into a relationship, into a serious relationship, saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna be 80 and you're gonna be 20." It doesn't happen. It just merges into becoming that he's going to be the provider of the house. And this 50-50 idea, it's funny because modern women do like the idea of 50-50 until they get into a relationship, and it's like, it's not it's your money and my money is my money. So again, it's that we don't like sharing our money. And from what it seems here, it's modern women do not share it. So men are going to ask a little more from those women that are in that pool of interviewees or possible wives.
Yeah, that's so true. I want to unpack that for a little bit and I'll move on. So, ladies, one of the things to make note of is yes, men who are thinking about marriage, relationships, having a family, taking a woman on as their own, they come into it expecting to provide. So many women get triggered by the what do you bring to the table? The premise behind the question is a man is already demonstrating and willing to say, this is what I'm willing to do. If you are mine, I take care of this, and this. So that is the precursor to, and so what do you bring to the table? It's not just like he's going to sit back and do nothing and you're going to be um, some type of provider, unless you want to find a man to get on your program. Like I said, there's lots of different kinds of relationships. But I think the key, and one of the mistakes that I made is, ladies, men provide at the level that they can. This is something that my man told me. And a lot of times, ladies, because we are women and we are selfish and we want everything, um, we try to make the men feel like what they're doing is not good enough. And that is not at all our position to try and shame and emasculate or nag a man. I've always said that men create the life that they want for themselves. And then once they're able to take care of themselves and then take care of the family that they want, then they start looking for the feminine asset to their masculine brand. So whether he is an executive or whether he's a blue collar worker or anything in between, and all of that is wonderful and so needed, he is basically showing you this is my benefits package. I was talking to my man and he was telling me about something that, of course, as women, I don't really think about it. I do coaching and consults outside of YouTube. And one of my consults is dating an attorney with like 30 years experience and some type of executive role and whatever. And my man told me, he said, when a man tells you about his, professional accomplishments, they're not doing it like women to brag the way we brag about our jobs. Men don't even talk about that stuff to each other. But when a man says, I have this type of job, he's telling you, I come with stability. I have these type of expectations. I make decisions quickly. We need to be listening and not like, ooh, yes, I'm going to be able to take all the vacations I want. That's not why he's telling you that. He's letting you know, I'm a police officer, so you need to know, ooh, okay, he's going to work some long hours. He's going to need this type of routine when he comes home. If someone tells you I am a senator, then you need to know, okay, I need to be camera ready at all times. We need to do a better job, ladies, not only as we're being vetted, to actually vet. So my point in that is, when you are dating, the purpose of dating is to determine if this is a suitable match for marriage or long term, not to just go to some restaurant and post on IG. So look at the life that he's created for himself. Can you see yourself happily fitting into that life? If you can, enter with grace. And if you can't, exit with grace. But do not nag him. Do not shame him. Do not try to wrestle him to the ground. You're not going to get what you want. You have to be what he's already looking for. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and the more you ask and the more you push and the more you probe, that's going to mean more for a man to say, yeah, you know what? This is not my thing. The more you're asking them to do things that really he doesn't see them as part of the plan, that's going to be a no for him. And again, some men are very quick at, cutting their losses. So, as a woman, just be more mindful about what he's saying. And if those words and the actions match what it is that you want in a husband, then your competition is there, and you gotta be the one that excels over any other um, possible wife prospects that he may have.
Absolutely. Jurgen says women today, her money is her money and his money is her money. Ladies, we can't deny it. That's the truth. And you know what? The thing is that men know that and they still choose us. We just have to be what they're looking for. All right. So continuing on, Lucy talked about competition, and Kevin was asking her if she was willing to compete. And again, she started the call by saying, we both have to compete for each other. He corrected her and let her know, no, no, ma'am. We have to compete, ladies. And like Lucy said, there's so many other women. Even if you just look at the numbers, women outnumber men, and then most of us women want the same kind of men. So the competition is fierce. I think that, as hard as it is to say it, it's a good thing, because I think it should keep us on our toes. If we just kind of lay back and say, oh, yeah, the world is my oyster, then a lot of those bad habits creep in. So I would advise all of us, even if you're, dating, engaged, married, second time around, we have to know and accept that we are competing with other women. I think we compete in the wrong way, though. I think we put a lot of emphasis on and the physical is important, but do you really know what is important to men in general and the type of men that are looking for a wife? Not the men that are still looking to have fun, and that's fine. That's a phase for them. But if you're interested in being a wife, what does a man who's looking for a wife need? That's what we want to help you all to look at it differently, and then make sure you're competitive in those areas. There's so many other feminine and soft skills that I think a lot of women in the modern world have not sharpened those skills, because we get caught up in being part of the consumer culture, all of our accomplishments, trying to compete with men as men. But your femininity really is your superpower. He knows what he can do. He's looking to see, what can you do that will complement him and help support him and be a helpmate to him, if that's what you want. What would you add, Lucy?
And I think that, yeah, the physical part is not as important, but is the entry part. So again, those women that think that the man is supposed to fall in love with her personality and their inside, you also have to understand that they are and visual entities. They fall in love with our curves, with some of them have preferences. Do they like Do they like the shapely way? But they want a woman that looks healthy, and healthy is not overweight. Once they start seeing women that are overweight and more than overweight, that's not going to be their preference, because they're thinking about, is she going to be a high risk pregnancy? Is she keeping herself? Is she disciplined at this point? And usually, when you're young, it doesn't take much to keep yourself healthy at a healthy weight. So again, yeah, it goes deeper than the physical, but the physical is the entryway to what else you have to offer. So once that physical has been met, you do need to start working on your internal things. Are you well read? And it all depends on what kind of man it is that you want. Do you need to learn languages? Is he going to travel around? Is he going to have you next to you so you can translate some of the things that he will need to be helped with as an help me. So again, yeah, the physical is not that important. It is important as an entry part, but you need to work on everything else for the femininity and elegance and womanlyhood that you can provide.
Yeah, let's talk about the physical because you all know I struggle in this area, so I'm going to put myself on the hot seat. But Lucy brings up a really good point. And ladies, this is something especially for those of us who are older or past our prime. So this woman was 33, so that puts her in the danger zone category. So in your prime is 26 and younger. And you all know Kevin, he asked her the questions about height, dress size, and weight. And she was like a size 14, over 200 pounds. And he started asking her questions, or I think he ended the call by saying, you need to get um, like a personal trainer, I think he said. And she was like, yeah, I'm going to start going back to the gym. Again, her response was kind of like, yeah, I know I need to get around to that. Similarly to when he corrected her about thinking versus feeling, she was like, yeah, I know. Okay. Similarly to what happened in your marriage. Oh, we came from different cultures. And so you notice there is a theme in talking to this woman that she doesn't really take things very seriously. And Kevin held her feet to the fire and he said, okay, you have been divorced for 5 years. You are 33. Ma'am, you're acting like you can just go get a man. And a lot of modern women almost have, it is entitlement, but we have this thing that we're going to check all of these things off of our box and then off of our list. And then when we're good and ready, we're just going to go grab the man of our dreams. And that's why I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I think we've got at least 20 more years of a lot of women in this age range kind of realizing, man, I didn't strike while the iron was hot. So, ladies, if you're on the market, even when you're in a relationship, but especially if you're on the market, you have to make sure that you are showing up as wife ready because the man that you want is husband ready. If you're being honest with yourself, at 33, how many of y'all are willing to date a man for his potential? I have a girlfriend who told me, she was like, yeah, over a certain age, we don't marry for potential. You need to have realized it by now. So ladies, if we are saying that we require the man to be ready right now, are we showing up as ready right now? And so she had not prioritized being honest about what happened in a relationship. She had not prioritized her figure and taking care of herself because this is a woman at 33 who wants 2 children. So you need to be moving like your hair is on fire. Any of you ladies here 30 plus, I don't know where we thought 30 is the new 20. It is not. And for the type of men that we want, if they are going to marry and they are going to have children quickly, you need to be ready. He's not going to wait for you to, yeah, no, I need to go back to the gym and do all that. He's looking for someone who's ready right now. So I take that, on myself, even though I'm a mom of teenagers, so that ship has sailed, but still, there's no reason for us to let ourselves go and yet and still think we are going to get the man of our dreams with all of our requirements. And Kevin kind of checked her and told her, even the average man that you say you would be fine with, they are also going to require certain qualities from you. So while a lot of modern women are looking down their nose, like, yeah, you're not worth my time, he told her, and I quote, "Women who talk like you die alone." What would you add, Lucy?
Well, and that's unfortunately that is um, a behavior that a lot of modern women have shown. You know, oh yeah, I'll get to it. I get to it. I get fooled by the media telling me that 40 is the new 20 or 30 is the new, 20. 30 is 30, 40 is 40, and your clock is ticking. So again, it's one of those things that the older you get, the higher the stakes are, and the harder the competition is, and you need to show yourself as more excellent than anybody else.
Absolutely. Let's see what you all say in the chat, and then I have one more point and we'll wrap it up. Aaron Laura says a lot of women think that because they can find a man to go home with for the night, they can just as easily find a man to go home with for a lifetime. It's not that easy. Oh my
So
goodness, I could
true.
drop the mic right here. This is so true. Ladies, it's been a while since I've said it, but we have to have discernment to know the difference between attention and intention. And a lot of young women, especially if you are above cute and you blossomed early. I remember there was a stream, not in this one, where Kevin told a woman, "You peaked too soon." I think one of the blessings of my life is that I'm a late bloomer. I'm the nerdy girl, the little happy, chubby girl, just, doing my own thing. And then now it's kind of like I've turned into this, mature woman with wisdom and life experiences. But I've had two relationships, two long term relationships, a marriage and then the relationship that I'm in. But a lot of women are having these experiences that aren't preparing them for relationship. Like Aaron Laura says, you find a man to go home for the night. Lucky you, not really. But then you repeat that over and over again. And not only does it make it hard, like Kevin said, for you to pair bond, he told this woman, he said, "Your relationship muscles have atrophied." And the saddest things, one of the saddest things for me when I coach women is that they think they're ready because they can put on a dress, because they can, talk the part, like playing dress up. And then they get around the caliber of men that have expectations and require a certain type of behavior and require honesty and aren't playing games and they mean what they say. But when you have all of this dating experience and casual dating experience, you are ill prepared for a real relationship. And then you have to see it slip through your fingers because you haven't done the work. So, ladies, take the time. If you are going to date, I would just implore you, only date the type of men that you could see yourself marrying. That way, if for whatever reason the relationship doesn't end, doesn't last, or you get divorced or whatever, at least you have something to pull from, you can learn from and get better the next time, because you don't want to find yourself on the outside looking in. It's very sad to see. And honestly, the men do not care because the world doesn't care for them. Nobody's given them any accommodations. So they will be ruthless in their decision making. And a lot of women are going to get the unfortunate outcome. What would you add, Lucy?
And these men will allow a young woman to do the silly things, the things because they don't have the experience to be with a man. They will allow to a point. Once you get to a certain age, and they see you doing behavior that does not match your age, they're going to start thinking, okay, so this woman, what was she doing during the time before she met me? She doesn't have the social skills. She doesn't have the capacity to hold a conversation about current issues, about issues that are important to me. So again, you need to, if you're an older woman, you need to be on top of those important things if you want that quality man that is going to be testing you every time you go on a date with them.
Oh, that is so true. I'm going to drop the link as I come around to my last point in case anybody wants to chat with us. You can be camera on or camera off if you have a question. This one was a shorter episode, but I have seen this, ladies, and so many women in the danger zone in their 30s and, God forbid, their 40s really have that arrested development, meaning they stopped and they want to do cutesy little things that are not age appropriate. And the men are looking at them like, why would you do that? Why would you say that? Why would you act that way? And I am, someone who is very festive, but I have learned it's not always appropriate. And so, ladies, we've got to read the room and we've got to do better because men right now are really second guessing the benefit of marriage to them. And it's because we have created this monster. And so you need to expect the vetting process, expect the unexpected, be coachable. Don't think you know everything because some guy that you dated in your past did it like this. Something must be wrong with the new man that you meet. No, a man is who he is, and you're not going to change that. He's either the man for you or he's not. The last thing that I have on my notes here, Kevin was on her about letting her figure go, and he said, "You think you can do everything." And for me, the takeaway was the ego of the modern woman. There is this underlying ego that we have, ladies. And not only is ego very masculine, but this inability to say, you know what, you were right, I was wrong, or I've been trying to get my spending under control and I can't. I've been trying to get my weight under control and this is a struggle for me. Listening to feedback and applying that and actually saying, okay, you know what, this is kind of how I've done XYZ, but my man would like for me to do it this way, or my husband would like for me to do it that way. Um, I think the ego is going to find a lot of modern women alone because you think that acting like a man, being in men's spaces, picking up their traits, being competitive, leading with your accomplishments, bragging, being vulgar, just all of these things that are masculine traits. And you're just kind of like, can nobody tell you anything? Okay, that's fine. You can win that battle and you will ultimately lose the war. So, Lucy talks about this, and I love it when she says, men want to be our heroes, and that's true. And I love that. But the converse is true, ladies. Men want to be able to teach us, and they want to imprint on us. This is how I run my house, or this is how I would like the children to be raised, or whatever it is. Are you a robot underneath their dominion? No. Obviously, if they chose you to be their wife, and they do value your opinion, but being in relationship with a masculine man means that you're going to get a lot of feedback early and often. And if you can't receive that, and as women, men lead, we receive. If you get offended, if someone tells you something and just to prove them, you're going to go do the opposite. If you're that kid who always has to go touch the stove and find out, is it really hot? You're going to find yourself retaking these tests over and over and over and ultimately alone. So that's your Auntie Maggie pep talk for tonight. What would you add, Lucy?
And bottom line, if you meet the right man, he will accept so much of our craziness. I mean, sometimes I say my poor husband because it's like Hurricane Lucy, here she comes again with her ideas and all of these different things that she wants to do. They give us so much grace, but that's after we have proven ourselves to them. We have proven that we can follow. We have proven that we can listen. We have proven that we can be the good wives that for us we want to be. And again, this is the wives club. This is for women that really truly want to be wives. And there is a learning curve to be a wife, but once you've proven, your man is going to go above and beyond, accepting all our little quirkiness and our little nuttiness, because as a woman, I can tell you, we are a lot.
That is so true. I don't want to admit it, but y'all, we are a lot. I remember my man told me, he was like, babe, you're kind of a lot. And I was so offended because, in my mind, everybody wants to do all the amazing things. But no, we have to realize that, ladies, sometimes, well, more often than not, men want peace. But when they love us, they really do give us a lot of grace. Believe me, for a lot of the crazy making. But Lucy brings up a really good point, ladies. We have to put in the time and earn it. Another thing that I see with a lot of modern women, or at least the women that I consult with, you wasted a decade doing whatever you wanted to do, or God forbid, 2 decades doing whatever you want to do. And now that you're worn out, you want to come to the man of your dreams and you want him to expedite the process. You want him to, like, hurry up and lock this down. What's taking so long? Ladies, it's not going to work that way. Not only is a man going to vet you, but to Lucy's point, if you're older, if you're a mature woman, you are going to be tested even more thoroughly. And you just have to know that that comes with the territory and accept it. That's one of the benefits of getting out of the game young and putting in those 10 years, getting to know your husband and getting on his program. Then you have earned those graces and, excuse me, those benefits and, trips or whatever that man wants to do for his woman. But if you come in from the beginning demanding, I need you to pay for this and I need you to do this and I only travel here and I only go to these restaurants, he will look at you and say, okay, and move on to someone else. And I think that's what we're seeing, all these women crying on TikTok, and they cannot believe that they've gotten to this age and they're alone because they never really saw themselves that way. And it's sad to see, but I think we're going to see more before it gets, it's going to get worse before it gets better. We got Team Peterson in the house. He says, good evening to the most important women in modern relationships. You are too kind. Maggie and Luke Hazley, thank you for making women great again. Sorry, that's funny to me. We are well aware of what is happening in the world. We focus like Kevin Samuels here, but thank you. In 2024, men are craving femininity from the ladies in our environment. I love that. Listen, ladies, the men love our femininity. I don't know why we think that it is not an asset. It is such an asset when you learn how to communicate with a man, how to serve a man, how to support a man, how to encourage a man, how to inspire a man. You are basically making yourself irreplaceable because, like Team Peterson says, this is what they're craving. And when you separate yourself in a good way, and there's something about you that's, she's not like all the rest of them, that's how they come in closer and they want to know more about you. But when you kick down the door loud and proud and you're like, all right, or whatever, gun toting rebel, y'all know me, that's an option, but it's not going to work. What would you say, Lucy?
I love that he said, make women great again after the the session we watched last night of what happened with these two guys. It's so funny. But yeah, I mean, femininity, that should come. It's so natural. And I think I was telling Maggie the other day that this young woman at work, she started dressing with dresses. She started wearing dresses and little cardigans. And this aura just was it just became her. And she said, you know what, Lucy, you inspired me. And I said, yes, we gotta make femininity great again. We have to just make our being a woman, just be proud of it, because you know what, the world needs it now more than ever.
That is so true. And yes, Aaron Laura knows about the crying on TikTok. Come back for Wild Card Wednesday. We're in a series right now where we're talking about the responding to the submissive wife from the Happy Wife School. But on my channel and on Lucy's channel, we've done several reactions to these women crying on TikTok. So, ladies, it's not just for a laugh. We really want it to be something you can learn from, what to do and what not to do. Team Peterson says, PSA to all ladies. All right, here's your public service announcement. Attention versus retention. Ooh, I like this one. Is he into you for now, or is he vetting you for the future? This is really important, ladies. We talked a little bit about this, and as we wrap up, one of the things that I coach women on, not just, is he dreamy to look at? Of course we like that. Does he have, money to spend on you, or the kind of car that you find attractive? If he is not talking about a future with you in it, he doesn't have long-term plans for you. Or if you're in the beginning, is he talking about a future with his woman or his wife in it? And we talked about this on Wednesday's stream. Ladies, you need to be able to watch, listen, and discern. Are you in a relationship with a man who's just living for today? Let's turn up, let's go out, let's have a good time. Let's not make it, difficult. Let's not ask too many questions. Let's just have fun. Doesn't make him a bad person, but again, this is not someone who's moving the way a husband or a potential husband moves. And then if you've been in a relationship, ladies, several months, a year plus, and he just talks about his goals, he talks about his future, he talks about what he wants, and there's really no mention of you, I would take some pause and start asking myself, when he talks about his future, does he talk about a place for me? Or am I just all in my head, like, well, we spend time together, we have great fun together. So that means, he's definitely looking at me as a wife. No. So I love that Team Peterson says attention versus retention. Uh-huh. Andy says Lucy brings class to the guys' streams when she visits. Absolutely. Lucy, I want to be like Lucy when I grow up. All right. So, on that note, we are going to wrap it up. So, again, this episode was in the description. Climb this wall to get to me. The lady originally called in and said, I think men and women need to prove themselves to each other. And Kevin showed her that, ladies, the type of men that we want have already proven themselves to the world, to their business, to the community, to their network. If they are looking for a wife, you need to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, and prove yourself to him early and often. What would you say to close us out, Lucy?
So true, early and often and often and often until he feels just comfortable enough to allow you to do your shenanigans, knowing that there's going to be a limit, and he will tell you, yeah, you know what, you're being extra, and then you calm down, like like somebody told me the other day, calm down, and then take a step back, and then your craziness can start again after you've calmed down a little bit. So again, men are, once they love you, they can take a lot of you, but you do have to prove yourself early and often.
I love that. Well, thank you all so much for being here. The Wives Club is here for you all every week, usually on Fridays. Now, next Friday is July 5th, and usually the first Friday of every month, the Kevin Samuels channel makes new content for us. And so we may not stream, or maybe we'll stream earlier. I'll connect with Lucy, but just subscribe and turn on your notifications. And if you want more of this relationship content, then if you're good for July 3rd, Lucy, believe it or not, I'm not traveling. We will be back with you all on Wednesday. So thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate it. Oh, thank you to our Stream sponsor for the night, we have Nasir. Thank you so much for the two $9.99 super chats. We appreciate it so much. Everybody have a great night. Until next time, adios.